Tibanya managiti dabasitu menyame menyama.
Yes!
I can't be so it's it's Pumbaa. Just kidding. If you missed my Lion King review, it's okay. I got a whole playlist of reviews I've done so far on YouTube, in case you missed Lion King or any of the others. Anyway, I'm Josiah. This is Jordan.
Hi.
Welcome to Disney Animation Reviews. Today we're talking about one of the more controversial entries in the canon, Disney's 33rd animated feature film, Pocahontas.
And this is the first and only Disney film to be based off a real person.
Right, first and only animated Disney feature film to do that. Pocahontas was released in the summer of 1995.
A few months after Josiah was born.
Yep. The year before, The Lion King was the biggest animated feature film hit Disney had ever had. In 1995, before Pocahontas, Disney Toon Studios had an animated feature film, a Goofy movie, which served as a sequel to the TV show Goof Troop, starring Goofy and Max. Goofy movie got mixed critical reviews, but was a moderate box office success, and has gotten more fans as years have passed.
Oh.
After Pocahontas, Disneyland celebrated its 40th anniversary, and for Thanksgiving 1995, Disney came out with their first Pixar feature film, and the world's first ever computer-animated feature film, Toy Story.
Woo!
Toy Story went on to become the #1 box office hit of the year, something Aladdin had achieved for animation just 3 years prior.
Yep.
Toy Story was a box office success and got unanimous critical praise. One of the few movies to earn a rare perfect 100% rating on the Rotten Tomatoes site, and winning director John Lasseter a Special Achievement Academy Award. But Toy Story is another story. Pocahontas is our topic for today. Like I said, Pocahontas is Disney's 33rd animated feature film. Like Jordan said, it's based off someone who actually existed.
Yep.
First animated Disney feature to do that. And was released to theaters for the summer of 1995. It was a box office success, though not nearly as successful as Lion King, obviously.
Oh.
And got mixed critical reviews. It's the only animated Disney feature film in the canon during the Renaissance era to get a rotten rating on the Rotten Tomatoes site.
Oh.
But to be honest, I actually kind of like Pocahontas, because it's different than the princess films they've done before. And we're going to explain why. This is our thoughts on Disney's Pocahontas. So after the 5.5-minute intro where we're introduced to our male lead, Captain John Smith, and the villain of the film, the greedy Governor Radcliffe, we get our opening credits, and we go to what will eventually become Jamestown, Virginia, where Pocahontas, a free-spirited Indian princess, lives with her father, Chief Powhatan.
And it continues the tradition of the princess not having a mom.
Right. I still don't get what it is with Disney animated features and killing off the moms, but whatever. Unlike most princesses who want more out of life than is already offered, like Ariel or Jasmine, Pocahontas is unique because she doesn't want things to change. She's happy with who she is, and like most of the other Indians, is worried at first when John Smith and his men show up. But after a chance meeting with him and teaching him about her world, they start to see the world through each other's eyes, and they have to work together to prevent their peoples from fighting with each other.
Now, one thing I like about Pocahontas is, in real life, she was only like 10 or 11 when she met John Smith, but here she's about 18-ish.
Yeah, a lot of people have drawn historical inaccuracies with the story. Like, for instance, like Jordan said, Pocahontas was much younger when she met John Smith. But for the sake of Disney being Disney, they decided to have Pocahontas be about the same age as John Smith, make it kind of a Romeo and Juliet kind of love story. The idea for Pocahontas actually came around Thanksgiving 1990, right after Rescuers Down Under was finished.
Oh.
Mike Gabriel, one of the directors on Rescuers Down Under, who would ultimately become one of the directors on Pocahontas, actually was having Thanksgiving dinner with his family and came up with a couple of different ideas for American Westerns to adapt into feature films before settling on Pocahontas. He actually wrote the title Pocahontas on a concept image of Tiger Lily from the Disney version of Peter Pan,
Oh.
and on the back taped a little storyline explaining what the story was going to be about. At the same time, Peter Schneider, who was vice president of Walt Disney Feature Animation at the time, was trying to do an animated Romeo and Juliet for Disney, and because Gabriel's Pocahontas idea kind of had a bit of Romeo and Juliet in there, Schneider said, why don't we do the Pocahontas idea? That way we can satisfy Gabriel's idea and this Romeo and Juliet idea we've been trying to do for months. I mentioned this in my Lion King review, but a lot of the key people wanted to work on Pocahontas instead of Lion King because Pocahontas felt more traditional to the Disney films they'd been doing, like Aladdin, whereas Lion King was experimental because it was a movie about only animals. Pocahontas is directed by Mike Gabriel, who directed Rescuers Down Under, and Disney animator Eric Goldberg in his directing debut. Before this, he was the supervising animator of the Genie in Aladdin.
Yep.
So that's the basic behind-the-scenes story of Pocahontas. Since we've already discussed the plot, let's discuss what's good, what's bad about this movie. First off, like I mentioned, Pocahontas has a lot of historical inaccuracies, like her age. Her father wants her to marry the warrior Kocoum, but she doesn't have any interest in him at all. In real life, Pocahontas actually did marry Kocoum.
Oof.
And John Smith, in real life, was a lot stricter than he is in the film.
Oof. So Pocahontas is a bit like the early princesses in a way, especially Jasmine, because she doesn't want to marry some guy she doesn't really love.
True. But she also, unlike the princesses we've seen in the last couple of years, like Ariel, even though she's a free spirit, she's happy with the life she's got and isn't open to change. When John Smith says, we're going to build a city like ours, like London, in your village and show your people how to use the land properly, and she's like, no, you don't need to do that. Here, I'll show you how great our world truly is.
And he shows him that even though her people are different,
it's the differences that make us special.
And this is where we get the Oscar winner, Colors of the Wind.
Right. We'll talk about the music later. I like Pocahontas' design. Disney princesses, at least the princesses from the Renaissance era, have all been pretty strong as far as personalities go. And Pocahontas continues that trend. Although for the first time in the Renaissance era, a Disney princess's animation was not supervised by Mark Henn. This time her supervising animator was Glenn Keane. And Glenn Keane, he's pretty good with the protagonists, because he previously did the Beast in Beauty and the Beast, and then he did Aladdin in animation. So now he's the supervising animator of Pocahontas, and I really like her design. Glenn did a nice job.
Yeah. The most challenging part about Pocahontas is trying to show who she really is. That's what Glenn said in an interview once.
One of the strong things about Pocahontas, depending on how you look at it, is... Well, I'll say one of my favorite things, design-wise, is the animation. The trees, the water, the animals. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, compare it to the majestic landscapes of Aladdin and Lion King, but I really think the design in Pocahontas is actually really, really good.
Yeah.
The voice acting in Pocahontas is pretty good. Nothing to write home about, but they did get some pretty good actors. They actually got real-life Native Americans for the Indians. The late Russell Means is Pocahontas' father, Chief Powhatan, and Irene Bedard is the speaking voice of Pocahontas herself. Her singing voice is done by Broadway star Judy Kuhn. You've also got filmmaker Mel Gibson as John Smith, David Ogden Stiers as both Governor Radcliffe, our bad guy, and his manservant Wiggins. So basically it's Stiers talking to himself, but I guess that's okay, because isn't that what Phil Vischer does with his characters on VeggieTales?
Yes.
Stiers was also the voice of Cogsworth in Beauty and the Beast. Originally, Radcliffe was going to be voiced by Richard White, but the filmmakers were worried he would be too much like Gaston, who White voiced in Beast, and so that's why David Ogden Stiers got cast instead. And then Academy Award winner Linda Hunt voices grandmother Willow, Pocahontas'
advisor, I guess.
mother type figure. Originally, the animals in Pocahontas were going to talk. Pocahontas has Meeko the raccoon and Flit the hummingbird, and Radcliffe has his spoiled dog, Percy. Originally, they were actually going to talk, and Pocahontas had another animal sidekick, a turkey named Redfeather, voiced by John Candy, Wilbur in The Rescuers Down Under. After Candy's death, and deciding to make the film more serious, they decided the animals wouldn't talk. But I'm glad they keep the animals Miko, Flit, and Percy in there, because they figured they needed some kind of comic relief or else it wouldn't feel like a Disney film.
Right.
Some of the supporting characters that don't get as much screen time are actually pretty good. One of my personal favorite side characters, aside from the animals, is, first of all, I'm glad that Cocoam doesn't want to marry Pocahontas just for her beauty, like Gaston wanted to do with Belle.
Yeah.
But rather, Cocoam actually cares for Pocahontas and comes to protect her when he thinks she's in danger. And I also really like, for the first time in a Disney princess movie, aside from just animal sidekicks, Pocahontas also has a human best friend, Nakoma. I kind of wish they had given her more screen time because she's a really good friend. She looks out for Pocahontas and just wants her to be safe and happy. That's a true friend.
Yeah, and I like that with John Smith. He's friends with his fellow soldiers, especially a young man named Thomas. That's voiced by Christian Bale.
Right. So John Smith and Pocahontas both have friends. It's not just one-sided. Something else that's pretty good about Pocahontas is the music. There are some decently good songs. The big ones are Just Around the River Bend, which is the song Pocahontas sings when she's canoeing down the river to go talk to Grandmother Willow. Colors of the Wind, when she teaches John Smith about her world. And the end credits song, If I Never Knew You, along with several other songs.
And If I Never Knew You was gonna be in the movie.
But they took it out for times because kids and test audiences thought it was boring. So they just have it as an end credits song. Like the previous Disney films of the Renaissance era, or at least the other 4 musicals from Little Mermaid to Lion King, Pocahontas won both music Oscars. Best Score and Best Original Song, which in this case was Colors of the Wind. Although if I'm being perfectly honest, I'm glad Pocahontas won, but I think Toy Story should have at least won Best Original Song for You've Got a Friend in Me.
I agree.
But otherwise, I do think Pocahontas is a pretty good film. And, spoiler alert ahead, but I like that they don't do the stereotypical happy ending where the prince and princess end up together. I won't spoil exactly what happens, but I just wanted to put it out there.
Right.
I think Pocahontas deserves more credit than it gets. I mean, so yeah, there's a few historical mishaps, but otherwise I do think it's a good movie. Good animation, great music, and a good message that we shouldn't let our differences
clash.
Right. We should learn to accept differences and learn from one another because of them. So if you haven't seen Pocahontas yet, I think you should give it a watch. Maybe talk to your kids about the real Pocahontas when it's over, but I don't think this movie is worth checking out once or twice. Pocahontas didn't have a franchise like the Fab Four, Little Mermaid through Lion King, but it did have a direct-to-video sequel, Pocahontas 2, Journey to a New World, in the summer of 1998. This one's the exact reversal of the first movie, whereas this time, Pocahontas goes to England.
In hopes of making peace between her people and the settlers, and she gets John Smith is still in there, she gets a new love interest, John Rolfe, who she actually married in real life.
Right. Pocahontas 2, while Pocahontas might have some problems, Pocahontas 2 is most definitely the far worse of the two. For one thing, the animation does not look good at all. Number 2, the story is basically the reversal of the first movie. There are differences, but still, it just feels like the same movie redone, but the opposite. Most of the original voice cast is back, which is good, although John Smith got recast with Mel Gibson's younger brother, Donald Gibson, for whatever reason.
Probably Mel was busy.
And while the original Pocahontas had some good songs, Pocahontas 2 might as well have not had any.
Oh, the one good one is Pocahontas' new song, Where Do I Go From Here?
That one's okay, but otherwise, forget it. Pocahontas' latest home video release was its 2-movie collection Blu-ray and DVD release with its sequel, Pocahontas 2, in the summer of 2012. With bonus features including deleted scenes, audio commentary, the movie version of If I Never Knew You, the deleted song that now only plays in the end credits. They actually put the movie version of If I Never Knew You back into the film for its 2005 10th anniversary DVD release, but now on the Blu-ray it's just a bonus feature. Pocahontas 2 has the animated short film Little Hiawatha, another one of Disney's classic animated shorts. And then both the Blu-ray and DVD come with a featurette on the music of Pocahontas.
Mhm.
So that's our thoughts on Pocahontas. Avoid the sequel if you're not a direct-to-video sequel fan, but even if Pocahontas has some historical inaccuracies, I do think it's worth watching every couple years or so, and then talking about it with your kids to help them distinguish the reality from the fantasy.
Well, we're out of time for today, so remember, kids!
When you wish upon a star, your dreams come true. Goodbye!